Today's episode of HIPcast is brought to you by Enterprise Social Record. Actually, HIPcast is brought to you by Enterprise Social Record. Today's episode is brought to you by MRO. MRO, the leading clinical data exchange company in healthcare. MRO is accelerating the exchange of clinical data throughout the healthcare ecosystem on behalf of providers, payers, and users of clinical data. MRO supports health systems, hospitals, and clinics by simplifying the exchange of information with requesters through release of information and revenue integrity solutions. MRO's technology-driven and service-backed framework has enhanced efficiencies, reduced risk, and increased compliance for over 23 years. For more information on how MRO is empowering providers with interoperable solutions to improve clinical data exchange, visit www.mrocorp.com.
Well, Seth, it's our second annual Get to Know the Presidential-Elect candidates for the AHIMA election.
That's pretty exciting. Yeah, it's awesome to be involved in the process and in the simple way that we can be to support the candidates, to support our profession, because it's incredibly important for our profession to vote. And it's just an opportunity for the candidates, another opportunity amongst the many that AHIMA provides for the candidates to get out there and share their story.
Yeah, so today we are going to have a conversation with Dr. Angie Comfort, and we'll have the other candidate on for President-Elect here in a few minutes. And we are just going to talk about AHIMA. We're going to talk about running for the membership or the board to represent the profession and kind of set strategy, what you think about AHIMA as a leader for the organization in the President-Elect, representing the members that voted for you, but driving strategy for the organization. That's a balance to try to figure out. It's very challenging, very meaningful, very, very hard work to do, very meaningful, so much so that our profession needs health information professionals that are committed and have a long tenure of service, which is one of the qualifications of running for president. First thing I want to do is encourage the membership. If you don't know the kind of the roles for each of the positions you elect, go to ahima.org and look at volunteers. And in that volunteer section, you'll find the roles that will be on the ballot. You can find out what those responsibilities are. So first, we are going to start with Dr. Angie Comfort. And we are going to kind of forego the bios because we're going to talk about your health information journey. And before we do, I wonder, we're going to spring something on you. Seth is usually the one that does this, and I am so excited to get to do this. We're going to ask a question that was not in prep documentation. Okay. It's pretty simple, though. Tell the listeners something fun and or interesting about yourself that may not be widely known by the membership of AHIMA.
Oh, I have one. One.
That's
use
awesome.
This every time I get asked this question.
Okay, great.
Before I went into health information, I wanted to fly an F-16 and join the Air Force.
Nice.
You and Seth need to have offline conversations.
I literally could not, because my vision was like minus 6.25 in one eye and minus 6.5 in the other. And of course, that was 35 years ago, and we didn't have LASIK surgery, which I eventually had. But yeah, I wanted to be a fighter jet pilot.
Wow.
That's amazing. Yeah, we've got a lot of conversations to have because I love aviation. And then my 13-year-old is a big fan as well. We go to air shows every year. So
I love the Blue Angels.
Oh, the Blues, yeah. Come on now. Those are F-18s. The Thunderbirds are F-16s. All right. So this is not about us, and I will get going, and the whole time will be about planes. Yeah, exactly. So as Shannan mentioned, we're not doing bio reads because we want it to be about you, and we want you to sort of introduce yourself to the membership, introduce yourself to those that are eligible to vote. So we always like the question of, tell us about your HI journey. How did you find this post F-16s and to today?
Absolutely. And I will repeat what Shannan just said. Make sure that you are eligible to vote if you are, a member. We literally had a CA town hall just a few minutes ago that said, make sure you go in there and check out your bios. Make sure you go in and validate that you are correct. And I actually found a discrepancy in mine that I was only a member since 2018.
Oh boy.
I've actually been a member since 1995. So that was a little fix that they got to do. But I love talking about my journey. It's been one that's really steady in growth and very deep commitment on my part and a passion for service. And anyone that's worked in the health information space knows that most of us are servant leaders. I mean, we are there to serve other departments, serve our physicians, serve our patients. So that's what it's really all about there. I actually was a child when I came into medical records, literally. I was a high school student and I had finished all my coursework and only had like half a day of school left. So there was a program called the Cooperative Office Education Program. And I was able to join that, get credits, and have a job that I got paid for. So that, best of both worlds. So they asked me where I wanted to go. And I'm like, I don't care. Just, find me someplace. And I knew it was going to be like secretarial or something like that. But they placed me in the hospital in medical records. I fell in love with everything that was medical records at that time. I literally graduated from high school and they hired me as their release of information clerk. So I started as a child. I can actually say that. Yeah. And then I just worked my way up. I really loved the fact of coding and what it entailed. The ladies there at my first job in Virginia, they showed me the code book and told me what they were doing. And we looked at it together and I was like, wow, this is really cool. I like this. And so I just worked my way through different areas of the department, along with a move to Arkansas and then eventually a move to Tennessee, and where I've called home for 25 odd years, maybe 26. But I love the intersection of everything, the data, compliance, like I said, patient care, foundation kind of gave me a unique appreciation for the details that kind of drive quality and reimbursement. Over those years, I've advanced into leadership roles, HIM directors, system corporate directors for coding and auditing, as well as what we called our FIP program, which was CDI before CDI was even thought about. So we were doing that in the early in 2001 and 2 before we had a CDI program.
You were CDI when CDI wasn't cool, huh?
I was CDI when CDI wasn't cool. Yeah. And I was only a coder.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah, fancy. I'm not an RN. I am a doctor, but not that kind of doctor.
I love it.
So I just gained experience working, throughout revenue integrity, CDI, coding, anything that encompassed, or everything that was encompassed in HIM, I've actually had at least done that job sometimes. I even transcribed, and when I worked at the Army hospital, and that was like, no.
That's how Seth feels about coding. You've also done some pretty innovative projects with technology of late, haven't you?
I have done a lot of integration of AI technology in my current role at Montefiore Medical Center and for Montefiore Health System in New York. We just implemented a new CDI tool, and we are running full scale at every aspect that company has. I won't mention it. Nice. Maybe they'll be a sponsor for you one day.
Maybe they will.
But it was just getting everybody's input is something that I think, as a leader, I needed to have. I needed to say to those individuals that were using it every single day, what do you want? What don't you like? What is going to make you do your jobs better? And we had really great participation from our sites, from our CDI specialists, as well as our counterparts on the HIM side who are writing queries as well. So it's been a fun journey. We went live on March 31st. So 2 months.
Ooh, so you're just a couple of months in, still working out the kinks, but at scale already. That's pretty awesome. Congratulations. I love that you started as a child. Seth,
I love saying I started as a child.
that's amazing. But we had one previous guest on that she kind of took the role that her grandmother had worked many years before, but it wasn't the transition. It wasn't as a child that she came in. It was after she got there. And then she discovered that her grandmother had been there. So, but I do think, Seth, correct me if I'm wrong, Angie started the youngest of all of our guests so far. Is that true?
I think so, yeah. Especially like going straight to medical records.
Yeah.
17, because I graduated that year. I turned 18 after graduation. So yeah, I was 17.
That's awesome. Well, let's move into the importance of the reason for our discussion today is to talk with you a little bit about being on the ballot. So first, congratulations on being selected for a president-elect candidate for the AHIMA ballot. It's a very competitive process. I spent 3 years on the nominating committee, one as chair, and it's a challenging, rigorous occurrence that you go through to be even selected. So congratulations. And I'd love for you to tell the listeners and our members who will make a decision July the 7th through the 21st on the AHIMA election. Tell us, what are your plans for AHIMA as president-elect and then as president, were you to win?
Thank you for the congratulations. It was an honor to actually be chosen. I was just, amazed and shocked that I was on the ballot. So thank you to all those nominating committee members who interviewed me, all of them.
They did.
I know it was a hard job. I know it was a really hard job, and it's a long process, but as AHIMA's president-elect, my focus is going to be on strengthening our member value and trust. I plan to prioritize 3 core areas of member engagement: strategic innovation and leadership development. I think that, over the past few years, and I've said this to AHIMA, and I can say this here, I think that that's kind of went by the wayside. We need to make sure we're ensuring every member feels seen and heard, and advocating for responsible integration of emerging technologies like AI. That's my favorite thing. AI is just everywhere.
It's everyone's
favorite.
Expanding
mentorship and education opportunities, especially for those newcomers who we're seeming to miss. And that's not just at that's a national and a state level. We're seeming to miss those individuals, but also to offer professionals at every career stage, the opportunities for education. I literally have, like I said, about 35 years of experience in health information. And so I understand the challenges that everybody has faced or are facing, and the incredible potential that we still have. I plan to elevate the AHIMA brand through transparency, collaboration, and meaningful partnerships. But again, I've already said I lead with servant leadership, and that's how I want to be known. And most importantly is to listen first and act with purpose.
Good.
Yeah, I love that. That's really good stuff. And it's incredibly difficult, Shannan, to be on this side of the conversation and not get to say anything. So as I'm sitting there thinking I can talk so much about this, but that's not the point of this. The point of this is to highlight the candidates.
Welcome the comments after.
There you go.
Conversation.
Yeah, I was sitting there going, "Oh man, we've got another 40 to 50 minutes of commentary that we could provide just from Shannan and I, but we will not do that."
Yeah, I'll be controlling Seth's conversation today instead of him having to stop me from talking.
Yeah. Well, I love everything you said there. I think that's great for members to hear and to consider as they hear both candidates today. What message would you have for voters as we lead into the election? What would you want them to be considering as they research the candidates, as they research your platform? What your goals and intent would be? What would that message be?
So, in short, this election is about you, your voice, your vision, and your future. I'm running to serve as president-elect, and I'm doing that to listen and lead with empathy. and to champion your growth and success. I've already, I've lived in this HIM journey for so many years, from the release of information to vendor partnerships and now in executive leadership. And I bring not just my experience, but a deep respect of the work that people are doing every day, because I've done that work and know how integral it is to the operations of your facilities. I'm committed to keeping AHIMA relevant, future ready, and also rooted in our shared values. If you believe in leadership that lifts others, and in education that empowers, and in mentorship that connects generations of professionals, then I would be honored if I could earn your vote.
That's great. I love it. So how can folks find more about you, and where can they get more information? Maybe even reach out and say, hey, can I talk to you? Can I send you a message?
Absolutely.
Whatever they may do. What's the best way to look at what you're doing? I think there are AHIMA resources, like they're going to have some, like a candidate discussion forum. They're going to do several things there. So there's a lot of AHIMA resources as well. But how else can folks learn more about Dr. Angie Comfort?
So for right now, before AHIMA starts publishing and, the pages for our campaigns, we have been, we had an approval process we had to go through. So all of our marketing material had to go through the approval process with AHIMA. And those of us that have been given the okay, I've already started posting it out there. It is on LinkedIn for sure. You can always find me, Angela Comfort, out on LinkedIn. I will answer any of the questions that you have. You can private message me. I always check those a couple of times a day now. It was weekly, but now it's kind of gotten every day. But also I've got a personal Facebook page that we've been allowed to utilize. Only thing is we have to make it public for those posts, and that's what I've done. So if you're a Facebook user, reach out. I will definitely answer any questions, provide any updates or anything that you may need about my campaign. Oh, and I have a YouTube video.
Okay.
So, yeah, I had a really good friend. I think you know him, Tyrell Guerrera, down from Texas, HIMA. He edited my video for me, and I said, "Oh, you did a great job from what I gave you." So
That's
it's on
awesome.
YouTube, and you can search that
we'll
as.
Put it in the description too of the show. That way, folks have easy access to the candidate YouTube videos.
Perfect.
I need to remember to do that.
Note to Seth.
Yeah, note to Seth. You'll remember. We can also link, Seth, if you don't mind. We can link to the AHIMA page for candidates as well.
Yeah.
So it's important to remember this election in July 7th through the 21st. Yep, checking the date, July 7th through the 21st. All members will be voting for President-Elect, for board members, and nominating committee, I think.
And CCHIM.
And CCHIM and CEE. Thank you for that.
Yep.
And so that election will be for everyone. We are today focusing on the two candidates that are on as President-Elect candidates for the ballot. And so, Angie, thank you so much for coming, getting to just introducing yourself in a conversation to some other members besides just Seth and I. And we wish you luck. And then we'll see you soon. We're going to bring on the next candidate.
All right. Thanks, guys, for having me. I appreciate it.
You.
And don't forget to vote, everybody.
Yes. Well, we are now going to talk with our second candidate for the AHIMA President-Elect election that will be happening July the 7th through the 21st. Welcome to the show, Sue.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here. So I'm going to do just a quick introduction so that your name is familiar. So Sue Clark Kendrick is the second candidate on the ballot, or the other candidate. They're not numbered or ordered. It's just that we had the prior candidate on first because of scheduling. So, but Sue and I have known each other and Seth through service at HIM. Professional passions are definitely something that we all share. We talked about the three of us meeting and being on a golf course at an HIM event and walking. And it's pretty exciting because I'm going to let you hear from Seth a Tennessee word that is actually a Turkish location. And then I'm going to let Sue actually pronounce it. So, Seth, where did you go as one of your ports of call on a cruise?
Why you got to make fun of me?
Do it.
It's an East Tennessee accent. So the cruise last fall stopped in Turkey, and we stopped in a port that I would pronounce Casaduce because I'm from East Tennessee. Now, Sue, what is the proper pronunciation of Casaduce?
Kuş adası.
I can't say that.
Kuş adası.
Casaduce
okay.
it is. Agree to disagree.
That's
Oh, man. It's so wonderful. Great to see you guys.
So, Sue, before we get started, we'll talk a little bit about who you are and what you're gonna,
Sure.
what's important to you as possible president-elect of AHIMA and then president of AHIMA. But could you tell the listeners and our members who will potentially be voting in the election that you're on the ballot for, tell us a fun or interesting fact about yourself that may not be widely known by the folks that are going to listen to this podcast.
All right, I have to keep it PG-13. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
So, I've always been into sports. I've loved sports all my life. I played soccer and volleyball religiously for multiple schools and teams and was the captain and on and on. And when the first U.S. Women's soccer team was being created, I actually got an invitation to go to tryouts. And my father did not approve it.
Oh.
And therefore, I never went. But guess what? Here I am. Maybe if I did go, I would have never been in the field. And thank you, God, that I'm here.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes I think about, how well they're doing. And, I wonder if I would have been one of those people. But it was very nice to get the invitation to tryouts.
Very nice.
That's pretty amazing.
Yes.
That's a
Love
cool
it.
story that I don't have that. I think I've been invited to like some pie eating or hot dog eating contests, but that's about the extent of mine. But that's a good transition into the first question. We've
Sure.
foregone the bio reads with our candidates today in this introduction, primarily because we just want you to tell your story. So tell us about your HI journey. How did you find HIM and how have you progressed across your career?
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you all for listening. So I did not know. I was one of those people who didn't know what to do in life. I knew sports. I was good at sports, and I was good in math, and just about that. And I didn't know anything else additional. So I started going to college, and I majored in medicine like everybody else. I thought maybe I could try to be a doctor, and I quickly realized, yeah, that's not the path for me. Can't really see those bloods and labs were not going well. And I had taken all these courses, chemistry and anatomy, and just trying to figure my way out. Long story short, I said, you know what, I like math. Let me just go back to math. And once again, I redid some of the criteria and took additional courses. And one of my teachers said, what will you be doing with this math degree? And I said, teaching. And he goes, well, it may not be enough for you to take care of your family in the future, only teaching. Maybe something you could think about is going into HIM. And I tell you, until that day, never heard of the field.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what is that? So quickly went there, Googled and looked it up. I was like, oh, I only have to take like this many courses. And voila, I'm actually going to be done with college after 6 years. I said, so let's do it. So I went, I completed at Downstate Medical Center, and a big shout out to Dr. Topper. I don't know if he's still doing the magic he's doing, but he was the dean. He was chairing the program and great supporter. I finished, and I don't know if you guys remember back then, the test was on paper. I'm dating myself. And we had to wait a month to get the results, I think at least a month. So that was like the longest month of my life. I'm like, did I pass our HIA exam? And long story short, I did. And then we had Downstate Medical Center at the time, the program had agreements with certain healthcare organizations. If you did well in the program, at least they will give you an interview. I went for an interview for a supervisor position in Passaic Bettersdale Hospital a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And that's how I got into the field completely. One conversation with one teacher, but it inspired me. And I've been teaching for 25 years as a result of it. So that's how I got into the field. And one conversation changed my life. And then from there, second year, I became a director. And I couldn't believe my eyes. Like, I was just in school. How did I get here? So you kind of build your own confidence, and you live and learn. And long story short, from there, I've had some positions such as privacy officer. I worked in long-term care as a director of HIM. I've done acute care director of HIM. I oversaw CDI programs. I created CDI programs, and along the way created HIM curricula, HIM programs. And then I found myself to be an AVP of HIM and CDI. And from there to my current role as Vice President of Revenue Integrity, overseeing charges on prophy and acute side, and also, being a curriculum chair. I have recently created 3 programs. 2 of them are accredited through AHIMA, KHAM, and PCAP. And it's been a journey. I pretty much stayed in the field as a leader. I am comfortable with revenue cycle, all revenue cycle subjects. I had the luck of getting exposure to so many different parts, from long-term to acute, from, higher ed to everything we're doing, from mentoring students to creating programs to go through accreditation process. So I'm so blessed to have financial background understanding, leadership understanding, implemented ICD-10, implemented remote coding when coding came out, implemented CDI programs. I understand metrics, goals, deliverables. So, and I understand the higher ed side and what we need to do on there. So I'm so blessed to have the career I do. I am not sad I didn't make it. So that's been my journey in my current role. It's challenging. It wasn't something that I have done directly before. It's the first time I am doing something a little different than direct oversight of HIM and CDI. But what that tells me is that's who we are. If given the opportunity, we rise up to the occasion.
Perfect.
And we have the background, we have the good curriculum that taught us the competencies, and we could step in forever. It's a learning journey. So it's been an abundance of information, learning and growing. And I'm so thankful for the opportunity. And I'm looking forward to even learning more and expanding pretty much, and do this as long as I can, along with volunteering. I've done also a lot of volunteering on local chapter of Westchester, HIMA. I was the past president. I still support them. At the New York chapter, I was the past president. I've also had the honor of being a board of director of AHIMA in the past years. So to me, it's kind of like a full circle. Someone guided me to be here. I need to guide others to be here. This association, AHIMA, is the reason how I was able to grow and support my family, and a whole bunch of students, countless, who I mentored and taught, who are in the field doing even higher jobs than I am. I'm very thankful, and that's my background.
So much better than mathematics.
I know. I still use it though. It's very helpful.
True.
I have to say. But yes, I'm so thankful. And you know what's the sad part, Seth? I don't remember the teacher's name, but I know what he looked like, and I'm so thankful for him to this day.
Yeah, that's great. I love it because you have your feet still firmly planted in both sides. But what I think I loved the most about what you were expressing was the continued learning, that you're always learning. And my favorite thing maybe that you said was, I'm not directly leading HIM, but that's what we do. We step in where it's needed, and we have the competencies to do so. That's our profession. And I love that you said that. Just so great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. So let's talk a little bit about what are your plans were you to be nominated or elected by the membership? What would be your plans as president-elect and then eventually president? What are your plans for AHIMA?
Thank you for the question. First of all, I'm honored, really honored and genuinely excited to be in this position and be a candidate for this president-elect position. So thank everyone who is a part of that. And this opportunity to me is more than a leadership role. To me, it's a chance to give back to the organization that has shaped my professional path and supported my family, and it will continue to drive our profession. And so with deep respect to our mission of empowering people to impact health I'm committed to serving with purpose. I'm committed to listen to all of our members because I know, I still am on this side of the line and have questions, have thoughts, and I understand what it takes to take the time to hear. So I am committed to listening to all of our members' voice. However we could accomplish that definitely will be on my agenda. Working together to ensure our profession is seen, heard, and valued as a vital force in healthcare. I mean, it's changing, right? We are in a transformative era.
We really are.
The role of health information professionals has never been more critical, and it's changing, right? And this is not the first time our profession is changing. I mean, we've gone through from paper records to electronic records to from ICD-9 to ICD-10. We have seen a progression. So it's nothing unusual, but yet here we are going through another very critical stage, I believe, in our profession. As we navigate, the intersection of data privacy, the AI conversations, the patient empowerment, the equity in care, social determinants of health. I believe AHIMA continues to be still very relevant and kind of like a compass, guiding ethical, innovative, and forward-thinking practices. That's why we're important. That's why there is still so much for us to do. It's just a change that yet we are going through again. So if I'm honored to serve, I will amplify member voices and keep AHIMA agile in a fast-changing world, because we have to, just like we do in our own day-to-day jobs. Try to build strong bridges. It could be between technology and compassion, right? We always talk about how much time is spent to document, but yet it's very important. Yes, seeing patients is very important, but also documenting is, if you didn't document, it doesn't exist. It's still true to this day. So whether it be like between technology and compassion, policy and practice, among all of us who are committed to health information, I think we are here, we serve with integrity. So what I would do is, other than listening and being there and supporting and doing all the above I mentioned, there's also a very good strategic plan that was put together that is effective 2024 to 2027. So I would take great part in leading some of those efforts and helping lead some of those efforts. For example, one of our strategic plans of AHIMA for this time period is championing relevance, right? Because our relevance is still very vital, but we have to make sure that we are bringing that forth. So keeping AHIMA leaders in data governance, right? Promoting upskilling in AI rather than shying from it, being more involved with informatics and analytics, because it is a big part of what we are doing now. More computers means more analytical skills, in my opinion. Some of the manual work might be going away, but it's going to be replaced with more of auditing and checking and validating. Kind of like that's the new era that I see that's coming, and kind of prepare for that. We also have, I believe, as a part of the strategic planning, is expanding the influence of AHIMA. We could do that through the efforts in healthcare policy, which we have been doing, and building partnerships to advance data equity. We're already doing that. AHIMA is already doing that. I could only help drive. I completely believe in the importance of this, and I know we've done so much, especially this year with the Match It Act. I'm super excited. I was there, and we made a huge leap, and there's still more work to do. So I'm excited to be a part of all of these. These were very well put together, and I thank my colleagues who were involved in that. Driving innovation by supporting pilot projects in AI coding, because if that is the route we're going, and that's where the route is going, we have to be a part and be in the driving seat of some of these, whether it's the technology, whether it's the regulations around the technology. We have to go with the flow, right? That's how I feel. So I will be all over, whatever we can do in that realm, and continue to support our efforts. And of course, enhancing member engagement. We are as strong as our members, as our voices, and prioritizing the two-way communication that I know we've had challenges in the past. We called, we couldn't get through, and many other beyond that. Maybe we missed a message or two. So how can we improve that? Continue to focus on that, because it's important. no one person knows everything. I mean, you figure out, you do your best. That's what we do. We research, we come up with it. If we make a mistake, we say, oh, wait a minute, we could have done this better. So let's step back. So the more voices, the more analysis, the more we can make sure we're choosing the right path. So that's my goal, to help in whatever ways I can. And, continue to do what we do. And hopefully I could make a difference. And I hope to make a difference and continue to support our efforts.
Very good.
That's fantastic. One of the things that we will do is we will include links in the descriptions of the YouTube videos and of Apple Podcasts and Spotify to your candidate videos that you guys are going to put out on YouTube or that are out there now. And then we'll also link to the AHIMA resources. AHIMA does a great job of putting out resources for members for, I think you guys do a discussion post and whatnot in Access, and there's all kinds of things that AHIMA does. So we'll link to all that as well to support the efforts. We encourage our membership to, again, go in and check your My AHIMA Hub and make sure that you have your communication preferences, all that set, and your membership status is good so you can vote in the election July 7th through the 21st. But the final question here, what is your message, or what message would you have for voters in the AHIMA election?
Thank you. Thank you both again for the opportunity. Over the coming year and beyond, I look forward to listening, learning from you, leading alongside you. It's not a one-man job. Together, I believe we will champion the initiatives that set forth us, elevate our profession, continue to elevate our profession, invest in our workforce, and strengthen the trust the world places in health information, because honestly, that hasn't changed one bit. It doesn't matter how we deliver, it is still the core of healthcare. And I just want to thank you for your time to listen to me, and your trust and your continued commitment to our profession. And I hope to shape the future together. Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Sue, for being here. I want to call out a few things that I heard both candidates say, Seth. I heard listening to members, lifelong learning. I heard CDI, revenue cycle, members to be seen and heard and feel valued. And I heard mentorship, formally and informally. So there you have it, listeners and fellow HIM members. If you're eligible to vote, you can go check the AHIMA My Hub to make sure all of your things are correct, and make sure you're eligible to vote, and then go vote for whomever you think suits your heartstrings or your belief in the path of our profession. Again, July the 7th through the 21st, the AHIMA general membership will vote President-Elect, Speaker-Elect, nominating committee. Not nominating committee. CCHIM and CEE. Yep. The nominating committee and the speakers of the House will be voted on later by the House of Delegates members only. But go vote and exercise your right to do so. And I want to put one last little encouragement. Over the past year or so, we have had a few years, actually, we've had a lot of rather heated discussions and honest conversation about the value of an AHIMA membership. And we have to have a 3% quorum. 3% of our membership has to vote in order to have a quorum, meaning that's the only way an AHIMA election is sanctioned and acceptable. Last year, we were under 5% in what voted, so single digits. If you have made a LinkedIn post, if you have talked to your colleagues about dissatisfaction, if you feel like you have been undervalued, if you feel like you are exactly valued correctly, if you feel like you've had all the amount of support you needed, if you feel like you have served and will continue to serve, you should go vote. We should never have single digit voting percentages, and we do. It's your responsibility. It's your right. It's your voice. Go exercise that voice and be heard. So, Seth, that's all I got.
Well, that was quite an ending. So that's fun. Yeah. So, yep, I'll just say ditto and then say until next time, my friend.
I'll see you next time, buddy.